Hi, welcome to this very special program in which we celebrate one of the great heritage brands of the world, Dormeuil's suitings. And to tell us about it, we have Mr. Richard Boide, the Managing Director, and together with him, two of the partners who have brought him into India over 20 years ago, that's Naveen Pishe and Ketan Pishe of P N RAO, who are India's most sophisticated outfitters for gentlemen, bespoke tailoring with Dormeuil. It doesn't get better than that. Richard, welcome to India.
Thanks for having me, Prakash. Nice to meet you.
Have you been having a good time?
Loving my time in India as usual.
That's lovely because Bangalore's a very special city. It's one of India's most modern cities, and I'm very pleased to have you here because it goes to show that Parisian fashion fits in very well with Bangalore fashion too.
I'm sure of it, very much.
So Richard, tell us something about Dormeuil.
Well, Dormeuil is quite a unique company. It's been created, in 1842, so it's nearly over 180 years. And one of the distinctive features of Dormeuil is that we are the one and only French luxury fabric brand. In France, we have a lot of international luxury brands, who do very fine garments, high quality accessories. But Dormeuil is the only one producing exclusively luxury fabric. So that's a key distinctive issue. Fundamentally, what happened is back in 1842, a gentleman called Jules Dormeuil, who is the creator of the company, had the very clever idea of going around the north of England. We were in the time of the Industrial Revolution. This is, when you had all the finest fabric produced in the world, which was produced in the north of England in Yorkshire. So Jules went around the mills, selected the best of the cloth, brought them into Paris so that he could service the many tailors there was at the time in Paris. Obviously, there were different times, but this is how the company started and has now become a very global company. Another distinctive feature of Dormeuil is that not only we are a French luxury fabric brand, but it's fully owned by the Dormeuil family. This is sixth generation now, which is running the company. We not only have one Mr. Dormeuil in the office, but we now have two Mr. Dormeuil because the son, Victor, has joined the company recently and is going to take over the company in the next decades going forward.
That's wonderful. And Ketan, tell us, what's your connection with Dormeuil? How did you get them into India?
Look, relationship with Dormeuil now extends more than 20 years. So I remember one of the first meetings with Richard and at the Dormeuil team when I was very fresh into the business, as it was with them, and they were brought to us through the agents that we work with. It's been a long time.
It's going back a while, like this. Going back a while.
I've followed much more since then.
So have we all, except for Naveen, who still looks like a model.
On the good head of hair. It's been a good journey, and we've seen both the brands growing. We've also grown a lot since then in terms of number of stores and the kind of product that they've been also bringing to the table. I think our customers are seeing a lot of benefit and requirement of these kind of products in the market, which is very heartening. And we have some very good relationships like the one that we have with Richard and Dormeuil. It's very nice.
And Naveen, what has your experience been like?
Well, I think, we love Dormeuil fabric because it's easy to work with, in the sense it's a pleasure to work with. Rather, it has a wonderful handle on it, and the feel and the touch of the fabrics are really nice. Our tailors and know how to use this fabric. Luxury fabrics have to be dealt with a particular care, and we have those talent with us, and we have bred them over the years. So they enjoy working with the fabric of Dormeuil, especially the 140s and the 15.7 fabric that they bring in. And now we are really excited to work with the pashminas and the vaikunas that are coming in. They're really been a wonderful experience so far, and look forward to the journey ahead.
For us, Naveen, that's very important what you just said, because you can have the best fabric in the world, the finest fabric in the world, but if you've got no one to stitch it properly, then you get in trouble. Yeah, and what's great, Prasad, about P N RAO is, they know how to stitch a suit and they know how to give credit to our product. We do a lot of effort developing the fabric, and we know these guys are going to make, the best of the best they can get out of the fabric, which is super important for us.
Well, quality never goes out of style, so I think that's where Dormeuil really scores. What have you seen in the evolution of the luxury market in India? We started off as quite a poor country, and after independence, we really had nothing very much. But in the last 75 years, there's been a sea change. I mean, even I sometimes am surprised to see the speed at which India develops. And as it developed, the fashion market developed as well. And how have you seen the changes in the last 20 years? I'm sure you've been in and out of India. What is your take on that?
Well, I've been visiting India, regularly for the past 2 decades since since I joined Dormeuil and we created the company back in 2008. And one of the key elements we've seen,
The India office for Dormeuil.
Dormeuil, India in Delhi. One of the key evolution was indeed the improvement of the overall quality of stitching in India, which has been very important. Elevating the entire, market to the level of a very luxury menswear. The level of customer service you guys are giving also to your clients here, not only you know how to stitch a great suit, but you also can do it in a very short time. You are capable of delivering a bespoke suit in 2 weeks, which is very unique in the world. So as a result, the Indian consumers' expectations are extremely high these days, probably the highest you have in the world, because not only they want the best suit, they want the best fabric, they want it fast, and basically they want everything else. So these guys have managed to come to that level, which illustrates very well the evolution of the Indian market over the past 20 years.
That's wonderful, because I think India, in many ways, understands luxury. We had the Maharajas, after all, and they were, I'm sure, wearing Dormeuil way back in, the 1800s also. How well do you find Dormeuil suiting the Indian style quotient? Like, for example, what we call the bandgalas and the sherwanis which grooms wear at weddings. What's your take on that?
Well, one of the strong points of the Dormeuil collection is our design DNA. Our designs tend to be quite bold. We're not shy of colors. And these, vivid colors fit particularly well with the Indian fashion, bangalows, sherwanis, and this type of...
Are you offering many of these sort of vibrant colors right now?
Yes, we are presenting today some very different fabric. We will, we have focused a lot on the gold designs for this season. Next spring, summer, we have a very, very wide range of colors, from the very light blues to the purple, the orange, the yellow, which have been pushing very, 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 very much for the spring-summer collection. And that is an very important part.
Prasad, to add to what he said, we have a couple of ranges in Dormeuil. Dormeuil has a wide range of fabrics available, and we have all of them in our stores. One of the special ones so far is the celebration range. So we do extremely well with the Dormeuil celebration. They tell us, or the India office tell us, that we probably sell some of the highest amount of Dormeuil celebration in the country, and maybe in some other markets as well. Just because of the point that you mentioned that we have such an a celebration oriented marketing. So much of business happens through this celebration. And because of the jacquards and the colors that are part of this entire offering, we have a lot of customers who love this, and the fabrics are just immaculate, and they because the weight of the fabric, they drape so well, and that's so much to do with the English fabrics. So most of Dormeuil, I don't know if many of our viewers know that most of Dormeuy's fabric gets made in Yorkshire, like obviously he was mentioning, most of it. And the good part of it is the weight of the fabric, like Navees. So it falls very nicely. So especially when you have, these ceremonial kind of events for bangalas and achkans and these things like that. Look, we really don't need to do much to it, because the fabric, we just have to tailor it nicely, and it shows so beautifully on
Well, just embellish it with accessories like some nice buttons, and maybe a different color thread here and there. But really, like Ketan say, we don't have to do that much. The fabric itself kind of stands out, and the cuts that we have really suits the weight of the fabric. Between 240 to 300 grams is really what they make, and that's the ideal weight. And for the Indian weather also, Prasad, this fabric really works out well. It's pretty lightweight, not one of those heavy fabrics that you feel the weight of. So we really enjoy working with these fabrics, and with these just accessories. I think that they look brilliant.
Yeah, and the drape of the finishing of the fabric also allows you to do a bit of embroideries and things like this to make them even more flamboyant.
Everybody wants to get something embroidered on the shoulders, on the lapels, and things like that. So some really funky stuff happening out there, and their fabrics actually work really well.
So obviously, Prasad, if the fabric is too flimsy, is not strong enough, not finished properly, it's very difficult to embroider it, make it even more, because it doesn't stand for it.
So there you have it, two iconic brands coming together to create the perfect garment. But tell me, Richard, you mentioned something about the gold collection. That's interesting because, gold is very popular in India. We hold some of the world's largest reserves, by the way.
Prasad, this winter, and this is one of the things we're launching today, we have come up with this very special collection that we have called Gold Forever. This has been quite a technical process for us to put it together, because it's not 1-2 yarns together, it's up to 5 yarns, which we have combined in a very special twist using a filament yarn to give you that very strong gold effect when you look in an 18 design. And what we do, and the final stage of the process, the fabric goes into a bath of gold powder. So we impregnate the fabric with gold, and you can see the glitter in the final garment. So
What fixes the gold, Richard?
well, it's basically by the time it goes into the last finishing stage, then we press it and we really fix it in the fabric.
It's the heat and pressure. I see. Holding. So there are many rollers. So the fabric goes through those the various rollers, and it's a long machine. So by the time it comes out, it's kind of fixed.
India has some of the largest gold manufacturing jewelers, and at the end of every year, they take the uniforms back from the workers and they melt it down, they burn it to recover the gold dust that's on it. It's quite amazing. So with Dormeuil creating this kind of a gold standard, you also have other fabrics like vicuna and...
Yes, we're launching another couple of collection this winter. One is the Pashmina range. 24 years ago to be precise, back in 2000, Dormeuil was the first company to launch and registered the name of Pashmina as a suiting fabric. Back then, Mr. Dormeuil went to Ladakh, which I'm not mistaken is in North Kashmir, to seek the finest and the whitest cashmere. Actually, he took a French journalist with him, and they put together a book of very, very nice pictures of that part of the world. And this new range we are launching this season is a Super 170, which is a 15 micron wool blended with cashmere from Ladakh, and into very different structures and quite bold palette of designs. And this is a tribute of what we've done back in 2000 for our first Pashmina range. So we're quite excited about this. And of course, the top of the top is the other range we are introducing tonight, which is our Extreme Vicuna. So, Vicuna is a very special animal. It's quite a frail animal living in South America. It produces a very limited amount of fiber every year. It's very fine, very light. It's very rare, which makes it today the most expensive fabric you can buy in the world. Every kilo of fiber, every meter of fabric that moves from one country to the other needs to be tracked through an official authorization. The vicuna species is protected. So all this is produced in a very sustainable and controlled way, which is really very important for us because sustainability has been at the heart of the company strategy for a long time and will continue to do so for many years to come. So these are the three main range we are promoting tonight.
An interesting fact that you had mentioned yesterday about Extreme Vicuna is that they, from the sustainability angle, so one animal gets, the bull gets stitched up only once in 2 years, not every year.
Yeah.
So 1 year the males and 1 year the females. So I thought that was very interesting thing. So okay, so this year we allow the entire coat to grow and they can take.
You're right, Ketan, because these animals are free roaming in the mountains. So you don't know which one you may have shown the year before. So that's the best way to do it. When they herd them together, female 1 year, male the other year, so that the animal have time to regrow his fleece comfortably before the winter arrives, and is not stressed too much by collecting the fiber. We only intervene on the animal every second year.
Absolutely. Pashmina is one of India's most treasured fabrics because every woman with a decent wardrobe has a Pashmina shawl, and they're handed down from generation to generation. And you may have heard of Chatouche also, which is unfortunately illegal now, or fortunately for the animal. But what is your take on that?
Well, I mean, this is why Vicuna is so special, because it is one, after Chantouche, and is the other fiber which is still, they've structured the supply chain so that the animal is protected. So the last thing we obviously want is what happened to Chatouche is to happen to Vicuna. So this is why that structure, and we are following really the thing very carefully, because this fiber is really unique. Once you worn it once, you understand it. You need to.
The fabric is just so beautiful. So we'll show it in our showcases. At the events and even at our stores. But it's just impeccable. How it feels is extremely soft to the touch. Yeah.
Is it expensive as well? Is it sort of what would the average cost of a suit be if you used Vicuna? It's
for a Vicuna. The Vicuna sells at about 8 to 8.5 lakhs per meter. So it is an expensive fabric. But then again, we have to understand, like he just mentioned, that they have to. It's very limited in supply, and it has to go through all the requirements of the supply chain, which is why it makes the fabric precious.
I think that India is now ready for this kind of a product. We have clients that are discerning enough to see the advantages that Vicuna brings in, and they're traveling so much abroad, and then they know exactly what a Vicuna is all about, how to take care of it. I mean, 10 years ago, probably there would have been very few people who kind of knew what a Vicuna was all about and how to kind of maintain it. But today, I think people kind of know everything. They have well traveled.
Does it have to be tropicalized for India? Is any special treatment given to the fabrics?
No, it's interesting to understand, and I think just taking up from what Naveen mentioned, I think people in India have come of age in terms of being able to understand, appreciate the fabrics, and when they travel, they'd like to wear it. The most important thing is that they understand it. It's not like, hey, it's just expensive. Because they understand and appreciate the fabric, they're willing to invest in it, really. So like you said, the Pashmina shawl is handed down from generation to generation. So I would also assume that a Vicuna jacket is something that it will be treasured for a long period of time. It's one of those things that you really want to keep and wear multiple amount of times. But I think there are we sell cashmere as well in our store. The Pashmina range, of course, which is new, but even the cashmere, which is for jacketing and overcoats. We have customers that warm up to that quite heartily. And I think, like he said, I completely endorse it. We're ready for it.
And Ketan, especially for these international travelers, the beauty of Vicuna is that it's very light. It gives you maximum warmth. but it's very light. So, the days where you have to go to Europe from India in winter, having to carry a big heavy coat all around, it's with the Vicuna coat, it's gone because it's very light, very easy to carry, and it gives you maximum warmth. So
Fairly durable as well. It's not one of the fabrics that's just frail and tears away. Of course, you have to take care of it, but it's fairly durable. So it kind of works for the Indian mindset. That I can just take it along with me, and I don't have to too much worry about it's going to be frail and things like that. So that's, I think, another advantage with a company like Dormeuil, who's making this kind of fabric that we have. You don't have to worry about the durability side of it.
I mean, just to come back on this, one of the other reasons why Vicuna is so expensive is, as I said earlier on, it's a very fragile and short fiber. So as you process it, you've paid already a lot for the fiber, but because it's quite short, as you process it, you lose a lot of fiber because you want to keep the longest Vicuna so that then it can perform, as Nevin said. So that's also a reason for that, high price tag for the Vicuna products.
My next question is something that I need all three of you all to answer one by one. How do you see the evolution of men's fashion in this country? Because traditionally, India has in the luxury market a very small percentage of menswear. But in the ready-to-wear market, men dominate almost 80% of the market. So considering that you're talking to such a limited bandwidth of customers over here, do you still find it profitable? And do you find it that it's a market that could expand and improve?
Well, I will let this gentleman answer as far as India specific is concerned, but on my side, I'm fairly confident that India will evolve continuously like the rest of the world is evolving. You are talking about custom clothing versus ready to wear. We've seen it in the rest of the world. Ready to wear is on the way out. Made to measure, bespoke, custom is the big word in menswear fashion at the moment, simply because retailers don't want to have inventories anymore, and because the man wants to have something specially made for him. And this is why P N RAO is quite in a very good position, I believe, as far as the future is concerned.
So I think, to add to what he's saying, like I was mentioning earlier, the Indian consumer's mindset is kind of, thanks to his traveling abroad and things like that, he's more conscious about his wardrobe. He knows what he needs to have as a minimum in terms of office wear, celebration wear. These are all different kind of, within his wardrobe segmentation, what he needs to have. And he's working on it. And he's willing to invest in a wardrobe, look at it in a way that, 60% classic and, 20 to 30% celebration wear and 20 to 30%, casual wear. So that way he's able to mix and match his stuff and use it for a longer period of time. That's why we like to use the word invest in a wardrobe. It's not something I want to buy and use it and throw away like the ready-mades have. And thanks to, COVID, where the environment became such a big thing to talk about, sustainability is coming to the forefront. So people don't want to just buy something and throw it. They want to see how they can use it, with mix and matching, like how the women do. So we kind of in that transition stage, and specifically for India, what we are seeing is that our luxury segment is growing by about 70 to 25% year on year. And that's something that's quite startling for us when you look at the data to see that people want this kind of product, they want this kind of fabric. And the demand for tailor-made, Prasad, in the last 1 month, we had to refuse clients because we just don't have that kind of, we never expected this kind of explosion to take place for the last 45 days. And in that sense, we had to refuse clients because we couldn't really make it the time frame that they wanted. But that's what Bespoke is all about. And that's where actually it's going. And, I guess for the next season, we have to be better prepared in terms of how to go about things. So yeah, I think we're looking forward to exciting times in terms of the Bristol luxury and luxury segment, particularly in suitings and Bespoke.
For sure, because I think India, China are really the emerging markets, and this is where the money is. And I think a lot of people are learning how to spend it well. Because in the old days, all Indians, the first thing they bought was a car, and the second thing they bought was a house. They didn't really care about anything else. But now it's changed, and especially with Gen Z growing up, they seem to demand quality that is real. because luxury sometimes is an often misused word. And my daughter was telling me that she found that one of the very expensive bags that she was planning to invest in was worth actually 1/100th of the price that they were asking. And she was very disappointed, and she said, like, are we being made fools of? So I think that's where a brand like Dormeuil and P N RAO coming together score, because you're offering quality that is not outrageously priced. And I think that's very, very interesting. Well, on a lighter note, the famous Vogue editor Diana Vreeland, she once said that pink was the navy blue of India. And considering that navy blue must be one of your largest selling colors, when do we get a pink suiting of Dormeuil, especially for women?
We have done that for a very famous brand, which I cannot say the name. They actually ordered quite a substantial quantity.
Was it Chanel?
I cannot
Your
say
lips
the
are
name.
sealed.
I'm sorry. I'm not allowed to mention. But no, we do have this flexibility, and this is a lot of the business we do for these ladies' famous labels. They can order, a lot of different things from us, which we make specially for them. So if you want pink fabric, no problem, we can do it.
It's India's largest selling color. I work a lot in the fashion segment, and brides especially, 90% of brides want a shade of pink, ranging from the softest of baby pinks to that wonderful Schiaparelli pink, or what in India we call shocking pink. So pink is a big color for men this year as well. Do you see Indian tastes influencing the international market as such?
Well, absolutely. If you see the catwalk show in Paris, very often the designer gets inspired by India, and some of them may take the Indian theme and develop a full collection around it. That has happened in the past and happens regularly. And if you look again at these fashion labels, very luxury labels, and you look at the garment very closely, going back to what we were discussing about embroidery before, we have a lot of these labels which make us ship the fabric to India so that it gets embroidered here and then shipped back for making the garment. So this is, for me, India is very much on the first stage when it comes down to international fashion, that's for sure.
And I want to
We've been
add...
selling a lot of pink also.
No, so that's exactly what I wanted to say. So, so last year, during our 100th year, we launched women's wear for Bespoke in India. So, since then, we've been having a lot of customers. I'm talking about lady customers who have been patronizing us for women's wear. We'll be happy to note that a lot of the ladies have appreciated the Dormeuil fabric, and we have a lot of customers, using the Dormeuil fabric.
I didn't know that.
Yes, it's very heartening to see. And from the color perspective, so Prasad was talking about the color and pink, but I'm just taking the hue of the pink, but I'm just saying, even yesterday when we were looking at the spring summer offering, and I was mentioning to you that we should have the entire width of that colors which is theirs will lend itself so well to women's wear. So I'm very excited about the new spring summer range, and I think the ladies who come into our store will be very appreciative of that fabric, because it has the colors. It almost looks like holy on a table. That's what I said yesterday when I saw the collection. So it's got so much of nice color in there, and I think whether it's for a lady or if it's for a Indian tradition, I actually said it's holy on a table.
Ketan, you touched on another point, which is an evolution of the clothing, made-to-measure market, custom-make market. Up until now, in Europe at least, and in America, that was really for men's. We have seen in recent years a development of the ladies' custom market, which seems to be also the case in India, because you've been pushing that.
Yes, since a year now.
Yeah, and that really was a move that a lot of our customers looked at during COVID, because they had to grow their business. And they said, well, why don't we fit ladies? So that seems to be quite successful, but I don't know if you confirm, Ketan. Apparently, I know the Indian customers, when it comes to men's in India, are very high demanding, but I believe the ladies are even higher, as always, in their expectation. And that seems to be the consensus from our customers, which are entering the world of a lady. They say, little complicated, but there is a future for it.
They keep us on our toes, and I know we like that because when the people give us feedback, and we really take it seriously and we improve on it, and we come back with some really positive solutions to their problems, and they really love it.
But again, you're in a strong position because you have your own workshop and you do your bespoke, so it's much easier to address the requirement of a ladies, which may have different body shape and etc. Than it could be from European clients who may manufacture their suits outside their own organization. So,
India, the most classic garment in India is the sari. Would Dormeuil ever consider making a lightweight fabric that could be used as a sari, especially in the north where winters are quite severe? And recently I saw a top actress in India wearing a sari that was actually a pinstriped suiting fabric. And she wore it with a tight little blazer and a white blouse inside. And I thought it was the cleverest thing I'd seen in a long time,
I never thought about it, Prasad, but you're giving me some inspiration.
In fact, I was planning to come to P N RAO yesterday and get 6 meters to wear as a sari. I wish I'd done that because it would have made a statement and shown off the drape of Dormeuil, which I think is one of the most outstanding features of the fabric. So here we are with two iconic brands with a collective age of 250 years between them. As you know, P N RAO turned 100 last year and Dormeuil is now about
183.
183 years old. That's amazing. I mean, that's really a gold-plated brand, It's really
We're looking
something.
forward to our 200.
That's wonderful. That's just wonderful. Will you give us a sneak peek into what's on the drawing board right now that will come to us next year?
So I've mentioned it a little earlier on. We have this quite vibrant collection for spring-summer, which is for us an important season, with all the weddings in Europe. And then we are working still on Vicuna. We are thinking of the next step. Next step requires a lot of work on the technical side. We always have to renew the offer. Your customers in India, P N RAO clients, wants to see new things all the time. So very difficult for us to keep up. But thank God we have a great team of designer who is very creative and gets a lot of inspiration for all sorts of life. And so far we continue to invest, and I hope you like what we're providing you on a regular basis. So far, it's been...
We got a little bit of a sneak peek yesterday. We were at Chennai in the store, and like I mentioned a little bit about the color. We also saw some of the other things, and some very interesting things coming in for next year, especially the summer bit. Yeah.
That sounds just wonderful. And in India, the luxury market is growing, and in the rest of the world, I think it's shrinking quite a lot also. So I think you do very well to offer India what India wants also in many ways, And in terms of fashion, do you very often mine designs that were maybe 150 years old and bring it back with the new translation?
That's a very good question. We have this wealth of archives in head office. We've been, building this archive for all these years. And very often the designer of this famous brand I was mentioning before, they tend to decide the theme of their collection articulated around a specific era or a specific year. And very often they call us and they say, okay, I want to see your archive from 1975, 1990s. So they come. We put the archives on the table, they select some design, but obviously sometimes when they go back too long in history, we are not able to replicate exactly the same because the weaving techniques have evolved a lot. So it's a lot of work to come as close as what they want from the archive, but it's very often difficult to replicate exactly the same thing. Or they start from the archive and go crazy on something else. So that's definitely, fashion is a constant cycle. It comes back, but sometimes with a very different twist. And these designers have
had the pleasure of visiting.
That's true. You saw the archive.
Yes, the archive room which you was talking about. So, and during one of our trips, Richard was kind enough to come over, and we met in England, and he showed us around the entire the mills and where the processing happens, and they have a wonderful a warehouse at that time in England that is very highly automated to make sure that all these cuts. So when we order fabric, basically with Dormeuil, the order goes to England and gets cut for that particular. So let's say you ordered a suit for 3.5 meters. So that 3.5 meters goes to as an order to England and gets cut there, and then it gets shipped here, and then we make the suit for you. So it is it is a lot of work. Of course, we'll have stock which we are holding, but we have, because there's so many options and so many books available. So we went to a tour of that, and that's when we saw the archive room, and it's a very interesting room with these huge books, books that big and about that fat, literally, and then they actually pull one page and the other, and you can sit down and have a look. So it's very interesting to see the type of the merchandise and the small cuttings with the drawing of how it's made. So there's a certain way in which the weave is explained, is written, and it's like a small computer program code, but written with X's and zeros.
Oh, nice. Maybe one day we'll see a whole sample book of Indian designs. Like for example, the Taj Mahal has pietra dura, which is such a beautiful stone inlay, and a sort of collection based on something like that could look tremendous for the bridal wear section. Because in India, like you have haute couture in France, we don't really have that here. A few designers do it, but for us, it's mainly about wedding wear. And that's where Dormeuil and P N RAO come together to create a fusion that shows you celebration clothes or occasion-led clothes or red carpet wear or wedding wear that is truly special and truly wonderful. But in Western fashion and menswear, do you see a cyclic kind of a development of fashion where, like your French say, plus ça change, it's like sort of, does it happen to you? Do you see things coming
Well,
back
Prasad,
like
we've
that?
seen a change in our business in recent years, especially since COVID, and generally overall in the world. I leave India apart because the reality of the Indian market is quite different, but there's a general casualization of the way the men's dress. So we've moved from a formal, more ready-to-wear attire for the men to a custom-made suit, which is first of all for occasion. Occasional dressing has become the big force of our business these days. And the first of all occasion, and this is where it ties up with India, is the wedding. Especially after COVID, we had 2 years of absolute crazy time for wedding, and the wedding is still very much a reality in France, not as big as India. Obviously, the traditions are quite different, but there seems to be a return of young people towards the desire to get married, and this is when normally the gentleman gets access to his first suit, and generally he wants to buy a suit which is suitable for that special occasion, but that he will want to wear again later on in other occasion. But at the end of the day, from being a business first way of dressing, now it's becoming more even a special occasion. And that has also pushed our collection in a different angle. This is where we need to be sometimes a little bit more flamboyant. You have a lot of destination wedding. You have a lot of theme weddings, which are taking place now. So that also push the boundaries of what we have to do in terms of collectioning and get ready for Spring Summer 26, because the new celebration range is quite exciting.
Well, in today's show, I'm looking forward to looking at your range. And a very funny thing happened, because when Ketan briefed me about the show, and I said, well, it's a fabric show. Can I get these super tall models to show off the fabrics? Because you'll see so much of fabric on them. And Ketan said, I'm not sure if our suiting lengths would really suit a model who is 6 feet 5 inches tall. But it did quite easily. And I think that with the new generation all over the world are getting so tall, my God. My models now, the male models are at 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". It's like a huge sort of a change in what's happening. So I think you're going to enjoy the show today, Richard, and take a look at what Naveen and Ketan
I'm sure
have
I will
created
enjoy the
for
show,
you.
Prasad, but at the end of the day, the taller the model, the more fabric he used. So I love it.
So Ketan, tell me, they say the second 100 years is far more difficult than the first 100. What are your plans
Tell
for
me
it?
about it. Yes. So of course, challenging because we have the weight of the brand to carry, and it's a responsibility as well for us. But I think there's a lot of opportunity in the market that we are in, India. So currently we are based out of only Bangalore, Chennai, and Hyderabad. But we see a lot of opportunity within the southern states itself as low-hanging fruit.
Of course.
And of course we see also the tier 2 markets have very good potential of growth and even in spending power as well, increasing, because we have a lot of customers coming in from those places. So we are looking at an opportunity to have our first franchise outlet, hopefully in the next 6 to 8 months. So that's one of the interesting things that we want to be doing during the course of the year. And of course I think we talked a lot about luxury today. One of my dreams is to see if we can get into a specialized store only for luxury. And that's something that I've always dreamt about, and I would like to see if that can come to fruition. Yeah. So and then of course we have our P N RAO current model that we have, where we do ready to wear as well as bespoke tailoring, and I think that can keep growing in a staged manner. Of course, I must say that to grow a tailoring firm is not that easy, and I think Naveen will also be able to throw more light on that in terms of being able to scale a capability to bespoke tailor handmade garments, and making sure that the same level of service we are able to provide not only at the store level, but also making sure that the back end is also taken care of to bring it all together. So in terms of when you could look at startups here in Bangalore and look at startups and they say, tell me about your scale and how big are you going to be able to do that. Ours is a business which is less easy to scale, let's say, and then roll out because it takes so much more time for people to handhold people and train them and then put them out there.
Naveen, in terms of the online market, I know that you are expanding very heavily into that as well. Would it ever be possible for a young gentleman in a far-flung city, like say maybe in Odisha, to order a Dormeuil suit online with you?
No, the day is not going to be too far, Prasad. I think there's a lot of technology that we are working on the back end that eventually will come into fruition shortly, and we see that where there will be some sort of a measurement apps that might be in place, and then we use the measurements based on how we require it, derive the measurements that we want, and then utilize it to make you a garment. So we're already kind of servicing some of the brands that require our tailoring services overseas. So we, in that sense, tailors tailor as well. So and we use this data that we have mined for so many years, and the information that we've got out. So we have something like 200,000 measurements with us. So we know exactly what the body type, if it changes, what it's going to be. If you are, for example, we can make a certain amount of prediction what Prasad's going to be like 2 years from now, based on your 5 years of measurements that I have with you. Similarly, if I have another client, so I can kind of predict where he's going through. I mean, I may not be accurate all the time, but if I have the measurements of yours which I've taken about 2-3 years ago, and you give me your weight and your height of what you are today, I can make you a decent outfit. So we're using a lot of those kind of the technology with the data that we have, and the more data that we have and more data that we mine, we're able to get better and better and more accurate at it. So there is not too far away when that will happen, and we're working on it. Ketan's working on the UI front and things like that, and I'm working on the back end. So together, I think we should come up with something hopefully pretty soon. We should also talk about the capability of our ready-to-wear, which is yeah. So so we have a ready-to-wear capability as well. We can do made-to-measure as well. So we can. So the beauty of our factory is that we can shift lines very nicely. So wherever the bespoke element is required to be done on ready-to-wear, we can do that. And if I require some support from the ready-to-wear section for my bespoke, or like if I've got a bulk order, so there are a lot of we work with a lot of corporates, who want 100 suits or 150 suits, and I don't want to use the word seamlessly, but fairly easily kind of mix between the two and bring out a great product for you, depending on the requirement. So I think that's something that we worked very seriously on. Thanks to COVID again, we were able to use those 2 years into getting into all of these things quite effectively. And now I think it's just how we go about implementing it.
And online as well. We have internal brands. We have a couple of internal brands. So we do sell online already in one of the brands, and then hopefully by the end of this financial year, we should be able to bring the other brand, ready-to-wear brand, also online. We've just started maybe a few months ago online. We've started seeing some traction already, but of course we have been at it for a while, and I think we've seen the light of day right now. And so a person from anywhere in the country can easily order a suit currently on the ready to wear, and then slowly once we've got all the back end sorted, then we should be able to do the
Absolutely, because I think that in India, the B cities and the second tier cities are really beginning to pop now. They're buying so much. We do fashion shows all over the country, and in some cities like Kanpur and Lucknow or Indore, I find interest in fashion just booming, and people are beginning to spend so much of money. I mean, the last show we did in Kanpur, every lady at the show was carrying a very serious bag. They really have the wherewithal to be taking fashion to the next level. So I think that both P N RAO and Dormeuil would do very well to concentrate on tier 2 cities too, and send out pop-ups and send out, kind of partnerships with malls in these cities or other kind of ventures in the city to establish the brand even further.
But Prasad,
Opportunity is,
go.
the opportunity, for example, in India, just take the state of Karnataka. 2032, they have made a plan which FICCI has made. As 2032, we're going to be a 1 trillion economy, which will probably be the third biggest country if we were present in Europe. Karnataka would be the third biggest country in Europe in the year 2032. Let's look at the opportunity within Karnataka itself that you have. So you can really scale up. But the question is how we go about implementing it. The opportunity is there. The pie is getting bigger. We just have to find a way to take our share.
And what about the overseas market? I know that the Middle East could be a huge target for you too.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's all on the cards now. You can't open everything out. So it's an opportunity. Africa is an opportunity. Some of the countries in Africa. So it's all there. Yesterday we were talking about, there was a very dear customer of ours in Chennai who was telling us that he would want to do a store of P N RAO in Sri Lanka. So I was very pleasantly surprised, and I just said why not? So we kind of looking into it, and let's see what happens.
That's wonderful. That's
with
just
the
wonderful.
with the increase of the disposable income in India, and the demand for luxury is going to grow. And when I see company like P N RAO and these two young guys, because we can still say young, which are driving it with all these great ideas and all the efforts you do on the production, on the marketing, on the opening the more network. I'm very, very confident about the future of P N RAO going forward, and I look also forward to be associated with this for many years to come. So keep doing the good job you're doing, guys, and we'll be right.
And on that note, I'm going to say we've had a wonderful interaction, a wonderful chat. I've learned so much about Dormeuil. Of course, P N RAO I know everything about because I've been working with them for years. But thank you, Naveen, thank you, Richard, and thank you, Ketan. It's been a pleasure. And I'm looking forward to having another session with you on stage this evening. And I'm sure that we're going to be telling the audience giving them a lot of information and teaching them a lot, because that's always the best way to pass information on.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And you, Prasad, for really moderating this.
It's
Wonderful.
wonderful working with you again. And I'm so pleased to meet you, Richard. So again, welcome to India.
And Prasad,
we will
if you are in Paris, we're very happy to show you our archives that have...
I would love to come. I'm going to take you up on that, Richard. So thank you very much for this wonderful afternoon. Thank you.